Just when Jake Paul starts winning you over with talk of cruiserweight titles and heavyweight conquests, he swerves back into selling pugilistic snake oil. His next opponent? Gervonta Davis, a lightweight champion with dynamite hands and who will be coming fresh off another arrest for domestic violence. Excellent. Just what boxing needs. Gervonta is an angry little elf who has been disrespecting my name for too long, Paul said in a statement. Yes, he is one of the top pound-for-pound boxers in the world, but my motto is anyone, anytime, any place, against all odds. And I like my odds. Of course he does. He's twice his size. Paul, 28, last fought at cruiserweight to face Julio César Chávez Junior. For that bout, he weighed in at 199.4 pounds, or just over 90 kilos. By comparison, Davis, 30, tipped the scales at 133.8 pounds, or 61 kilos for his last fight. That's over 60 pounds, or 30 kilos lighter, which makes this seem destined to be an exhibition, but perhaps not. We're still figuring that out, said Paul's Most Valuable Promotions co-founder, Nikisa Bidarian. Jake will definitely have to come down below his 200-pound weight that he's been fighting at. I can tell you that we're going to have a fight that will have a definitive outcome, whether by way of knockout or decision. The size gap instantly brings back memories of 2021's exhibition fiasco between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Jake's brother Logan. For that bout, Mayweather weighed in at 155 pounds, while Logan dwarfed him at 189.5 pounds. Mayweather was still the favourite because he's a genius, but he couldn't finish the novice because the novice looked like he'd eaten a welterweight for lunch. But what happened to Jake proving he's a real title threat? After dismantling Chávez, he had clawed his way to the 14th spot on the WBA's cruiserweight rankings. He's legitimately within a fight of a championship bout, but he's chosen to clown around with Tank. Meanwhile, Davis has never fought above junior welterweight. He's only defended his belt twice since January of 2023, and his last outing ended in a draw. What about those legal issues? Davis just dodged a misdemeanor battery charge from an alleged Father's Day dispute with his ex. So in 1 week, he avoids jail for assaulting the mother of his son, and then he's offered millions for an exhibition. There wasn't anyone else more deserving? And has this killed Paul's rumored bout at heavyweight with former two-time unified champion Anthony Joshua, a bout that would have actually furthered Paul's championship dreams? No, not according to Jake. First, I'm going to kill David, and then I'll go on to slaughter Goliath. And you are all going to watch me do it, breaking viewership records again. The fight will be promoted by Paul's Most Valuable Promotions and streamed globally on Netflix, just as was the case for Paul's last controversial affair. That was with the 58-year-old Mike Tyson, but this time, it's the weight and not the age that feels a little insulting. Paul's nasty case of chaos seems to be infectious. His last dance partner, Julio César Chávez Jr., has been deported to Mexico for alleged ties to the undeniably heinous Sinaloa Cartel. Chávez Jr., 39, faces accusations of drugs and arms trafficking in an investigation that reportedly began back in 2019. The US ambassador to Mexico even posted about the extradition on Twitter, praising cross-border cooperation. Who knows why they blacked out Chávez's eyes? The Twitter post was specifically about him, and he's right there. We can see him. Chávez Jr., son of the Mexican boxing icon Julio César Chávez, was arrested just days after his high-profile fight with Jake Paul. But that fight may end up being the least dramatic chapter of his year. The Chávez family's links to narco culture goes back decades, with Chávez Sr. famously socializing with cartel figures like Amado Carrillo Fuentes throughout the 80s and 90s. With the Trump administration breathing down Mexico's neck, insisting they crack down on organized crime, even President Claudia Sheinbaum has had to address his arrest in her daily presser.
We were informed that he was going to arrive in Mexico. There was an arrest warrant in Mexico. There was already an arrest warrant in Mexico when he was arrested in the US.
Prosecutors say Chávez Jr. has been under investigation for years over alleged connections to organized crime, arms trafficking, and drug distribution. However, his lawyer insists that it's all smoke and no fire.
We have a federal prosecutor's office that attributes involvement in an extremely dangerous organization based on anecdotes of camaraderie. There is not a single instance where we have seen, at least the prosecutor did not show us, did not reveal to us, where we have seen that he participated, was part of a group, was subordinate, or any of the predicates required by the special federal law.
For now, Chávez Jr. will await trial wherever he likes. So long as wherever he likes is within Mexico.
He cannot leave the country without permission. This means he can leave Mexico as long as he notifies and obtains permission from the judge beforehand. But as long as he doesn't have that permission, he must remain in Mexico. In which part of Mexico? Wherever he wants.
To the heavyweights. Francis Ngannou is eyeing up another crack at boxing. And apparently, the former UFC and PFL Superfights champion wants the most dangerous puncher alive. Yes, I do want Deontay Wilder. We haven't engaged personally, but it's going to be soon, said Ngannou. Yeah, we're setting some things up, but I keep training. The fearsome MMA puncher wants boxing's most fearsome puncher, Deontay Wilder. And Wilder's manager, Shelley Finkel, says the Bronze Bomber could say yes. Deontay would be open to that fight next year, said the little guy, and that's just great. Wilder is one of the scariest punchers in heavyweight history, and his right hand is capable of rewiring neural pathways in an instant. But his undefeated run came to an end during his trilogy with Fury. After several knockdowns for both men, Wilder ended up going 0-2-1 against the Gypsy King, and he's gone 2-2 in his last 4. In the other corner, Ngannou nearly shocked the world in October of 2023 by pushing the then lineal champ Fury to a split decision, in Ngannou's boxing debut no less. In March of 2024, Ngannou entered into his second professional outing in a bout with Joshua. That could have been an eliminator to see who would next fight for the undisputed title, but Ngannou was vaporized, and he hasn't boxed since. At UFC Fight Night 257 in Shanghai, Johnny Walker and Zhang Mingyang delivered chaos and carnage. But it was Walker who walked away with a second-round stoppage. After some brutal leg kicks, the Brazilian smashed the hometown hero to end his 3-fight losing skid. Walker shot for a takedown just 3 seconds into the fight, only to get pieced up on the feet for the next 4 minutes. In the second round, though, the now wobbled Walker crippled Zhang with leg kicks until the Chinese fighter could no longer stand, and the Brazilian didn't let him up. Walker used his post-fight mic time to call out the former champion Jan Blachowicz, except just seconds later, Walker bailed on his own call-out. It was predictably unpredictable. "I have no idea," Walker said. "I was really focused on this Chinese guy. I don't even look in the rankings. I don't care how it's going to happen. Whatever the matchmakers do, I accept." In the catchweight co-main, the former bantamweight champ Aljamain Sterling cruised past Brian Ortega with a unanimous decision victory. Originally set for featherweight, Ortega missed weight and pushed it higher, but despite being the bigger man, T-City just couldn't get it done. From the opening bell, Ortega's output screamed energy conservation as he threw just 2 strikes in round 1. Sterling was able to chop his legs and pump the jab at will until Ortega finally rallied late in round 5, so Sterling put him on his back to seal the W. "I came to featherweight. I think I did my damn thing against a really tough dude who fought for the belt twice," said Sterling. "Respect. Alexander Volkanovski is the man, but I'd love an opportunity to fight for the belt again." Aljo calling out the champ wasn't crazy, but Volk, the now 2-time champ, will look higher up the rankings for the first defense of his second reign. Sterling currently sits behind Movsar Evloev, who beat Sterling, and Lerone Murphy, so the Funk Master will have to get in line. There was no Fight of the Night bonus awarded in Shanghai, but Johnny Walker, Charles Johnson, and Carl Dorcas each pocketed $50K for their devastating knockouts. Uran Satibaldiev also earned a check for his slick first-round Ezekiel choke. In other UFC news, everyone seemed super impressed with Khamzat Chimaev's total domination of the middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis, at UFC 319. Everyone except Nate Diaz, who said Chimaev fought like a coward. He had him in side control and he's holding him, dominating him, right? Then he lets go and hits him a little bit, like little soft punches and explained Diaz. He comes off as this big, intimidating guy, but he's a big old scared child. In Diaz's defense, Chimaev landed a record 529 strikes, but only 37 were significant. For someone billed as a killer, that's a little weak. Diaz's attack is extra juicy though, because they'd been scheduled to fight back in 2022, but Chimaev missed weight by 9 pounds. That's a real shame, because Diaz had a plan for the Chechen's relentless wrestling, and it's pure Stockton. I'm just not going to try to get up. I'm going to beat the out of you from my back and lose a decision, or take you out somehow by brutally damaging your whole grill, catching you in chokes, flipping you over, and you up. And that would have been something to behold. And over at PFL 10, 3 fighters claimed season 2025 gold. Fabian Edwards at middleweight, Oleg Popov at heavyweight, and Antonio Carlos Jr. at light heavyweight for his 2nd season championship.
Thanks for watching. And remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.